Welcome to the Hustler's Handbook podcast. I'm Easton. In this show, we explore the stories of relentless go-getters, uncovering the secrets behind their success. We talk life, work, and everything in between. The highs, the lows, and the grit it takes to keep pushing forward. Tune in and get inspired right here on the Hustler's Handbook podcast. Hello, and welcome to the Hustler's Handbook podcast. I'm your host, Easton Johnson. Our guest today is a man of many talents, from dominating the gridiron as an NFL defensive lineman to soaring the skies as a pilot. He's a father, a husband, an entrepreneur extraordinaire. He owns a thriving gym, runs a successful mortgage company, and has carved out a significant presence as a social media personality. Ladies and gentlemen, Mkristo Bruce, welcome to the show.
Man, thanks for having me. Cool. Watch me, man. I'm excited to actually get on the show finally.
I appreciate it, man. It means a lot having you on here. So for the people who aren't familiar with you, just give them a little bit about background about yourself.
Man, it's always tough when someone asks you that, right? It's like puts you on the spot. But my name is Mkristo Bruce, go by MK. Grew up in the Renton, Washington area. 8 siblings. Met my wife in college. We got 2 kids. Now I just grab life by the horns and have fun with it.
That's what's up. What led you into pursuing football at a young age, excelling in it, and then transitioning to other professions?
Man, I think that question I've been asked more and more throughout the years. But when I grew up with a family. I have 8 siblings, so there just wasn't a lot in the house. Like as far as like when you woke up, you just want to be outside, right? Mm-hmm. So when it came down to playing sports, if there was any season possible, I was playing a sport, if not 2. I just wanted to be outside of the house doing something. So that's how I got into football, and then just kind of took it from there. But whether it was basketball, football, whatever it was, like I was going to try and make it in one of those. And football was the best at it, so I just kind of leaned into it.
And besides having the 8 siblings, what was your motivation for pursuing and, advancing in football?
Not necessarily motivation. It was just my thing was I just want to be playing a sport. And like during that season was football. So I jumped in that. And then during basketball season, I was playing basketball, and then track and wrestling. I loved wrestling. If I look back at it, I wish I would have stayed in wrestling versus basketball. But they were the same season. So I chose basketball.
Okay. And so in college, you played at Washington State. Had a successful time there. Give us a little insight about your time at Washington State and playing football there and just overall life.
Yeah, the crazy thing about it is I always wanted to go to Wazoo. Like people always ask me because I'm from the West Side, like why didn't I choose UW or anything like that? And I just Washington State had that blue collar, like pull your bootstraps up mentality. I just loved that about it. It was just gritty. It was raw. So Mike Price offered me, I was like, auto yes. Like I didn't even entertain any other offers. It was just I was going there. So, Pullman was everything for me. I was a young kid. I got to college at 17. So I was the youngest guy on the team. Running around on my own at 17 is crazy to even look back and think about it. I got a 19-year-old. I'm like, should we be leaving him by himself? But yeah, running around campus, it was such a family hometown feel. Just definitely molded me on who I am today for sure.
And so after you had, successful career in college, you played in the NFL for some time. How was that itself? And what was the differences between like college and playing in the pros?
The crazy thing about so like every step you go, so little league to high school to college to the pros, there's a big talent gap, or there's a big, difference in the players that are there. So I remember going from high school to college, I've never seen somebody get hit so hard. I've never seen the size of guys that were on the team. You had your light bodies that were 6'8", 345 pounds, like these big humans I didn't see in high school. So that gap of speed and size was crazy. But then you remember going to the NFL, everybody was the best on their team, right? So you think about all over the country, there was the best guy on that team that you're going against. And, the margin of error is so small at that level versus in college. I could have misread a play, did a spin move, and came back and got a tackle. But in the pros, you misstep a play, you're on the ground, you're getting fired. Like it's such a difference, right? the expectations are higher. The sacrifices are different. It's just different.
So after you were done playing, can you talk about like the transition from playing and moving on from that and pursuing other careers or choosing a different path?
Yeah, I think it's, for most people, it's probably one of the most difficult transitions of your life for us athletes, because it's like all you've ever done, known, and trained for, your identity is involved in being a football player, an athlete. So as soon as it's done, it's done. Like you're no longer that guy. You were the guy that used to play, or you were the guy that, used to do that. So I think the hardest thing is just there's no drug in the world that can touch that, that high of being on a field, a sold out Martin Stadium, third and short, and you stuff the quarterback, or you get a big sack, you get your team off. There's no drug that will ever touch that feeling on the field. So I think some players, probably lean towards that, right? Trying to find that high again. And I think, some players, it's really, really hard to know that is a reality, that you'll never, ever feel that again, right? So for me, it was really hard because that's all I've ever known. But at the same time, it was an easy transition because, well, I wouldn't say it was an easy transition. I just, no matter what I did, I was going to be successful at. Like, that's just, I knew. I had a wife and a kid at the time, 2 kids when I was done playing. And the worst thing you'll ever hear, and I can even tell you a story, I got cut by Miami, and I hadn't signed a real contract yet. I was just preseason. So in Pullman, we were living off $1,000 a month, right? And then you leave, you get a little bit of change, like you're playing a little bit in the league, but you're just getting that, whatever, maybe a practice squad check or whatever. So nothing in savings that you had so far. I remember I got cut. I was rehabbing, got hurt, and I was overdrafted. And my son goes, "Dad, I'm hungry," and I was overdrafted in my account. Couldn't feed him. That is the most humbling moment of my life. Like, I remember that. I was like, he will never, ever say that to me again. So that was like a light switch when I got done playing. That was like, your son's never going to be hungry again.
And so do you think having that athletic background helped you transition to know that I'm going to pursue something and I'm going to be successful in it? Because I feel like a lot of times for myself, obviously I didn't play pro, but like my identity was a football player. So I can only imagine, being at that level and then being like, okay, everybody knows MK as a professional athlete. So was it hard for you to kind of get out of that mindset and, disregard what other people think and still pursue something with 100% having that athletic background?
Yeah, I think that it was hard, but, just like as a business owner now, like I'm looking for other athletes because they know how to work with others. They know, especially if they played a team sport, they know how to set a goal and obtain it, right? So that athletic part of it, yes, was huge. I mean, especially getting up to the top level, because a lot of the employers knew that I had that work ethic, right?
After you got done playing, you ended up opening up a gym. Tell us a little bit about your gym and how that got started.
Yeah, so it's funny because I stopped. I was not depressed, but kind of like towards that, like when I got done playing and I stopped working out. I put on some weight, was out of shape. I was eating like 2 teriyakis at lunch, 2 dinner-sized teriyakis. I was just mowing food down. And a buddy of mine was like, "Hey, you want to try CrossFit?" So I was like, you know what? Yeah, I need to do something. So anything I do, I just had that personality. I was like, oh, well, I got to be great at it now. So it's like, I'm doing competitions and doing all this stuff. And basically, I got my wife into it, and then I actually like fell back a little bit from training really hard, and she took off with it. Like she competed, won competitions, and then she really got into the programming and the modalities and the movements and nutrition, and that kind of started. I was like, hey, well, let's start a gym. So we started a gym in our garage, and we had that for a couple of years, and we got away from CrossFit. We got more towards more like bodybuilding with conditioning at the end, and 1-hour classes. And then there was a gym in Maple Valley CrossFit was closing down, and the owner just gave us a shot. His name Brett Hobbinitt. He's the owner of the building, but he gave us a shot. He was like, hey, listen, I've heard some great things about you guys. Would you like to lease the space? So we leased that for a year, and then with a total God thing, our dream space, 10,000 square feet, was actually across the street. Came up, and we were able to get that during COVID. So there was some rough months in there, but we packed it out.
And so let's speak on that. Opening up the gym during COVID. What were the challenges with all that? Like having
Right.
regulations and
Brutal. It was brutal. But we built such a dope community that, a lot of the members just kept their memberships going just to keep us rolling, which was such a blessing. Um, that we built. We were able to build those strong connections where people were like, hey, we support small businesses and we want you guys to succeed. So that was pretty cool.
That's dope, man. And it's still thriving today. I mean, I keep track of you guys on social media and stuff, and you're also running a successful mortgage company. So tell us a little bit about that. And that social media presence too is pretty dope.
Man, it's so fun. So so I got into mortgages after the car business when after I got done playing, and mortgages have been such a blessing because this is the most important purchase of a person's lifetime, right? Is buying that primary home for your family. So total blessing. Been in here. I have an office. I have 6 loan officers that I manage, and I got my own team. So our goal is to get as many clients and friends and family in the houses as possible, and just showing them that there's a way to do it, and it doesn't take 20% down just to get to a house.
And so for people who aren't familiar with you or know you or your company or anything about you, what separates yourself and your guys' company versus anybody else's?
Man, I could tie it back into that athletics, right? So when it comes down to, winning for my clients, like there's nobody that's going to beat me, right? So I know what it takes. And then also just caring, right? So I'm a 7-day-a-week guy, always have been. That's just my mentality. So my clients know if they need me, they got me. If they're trying to buy a house on the weekend and we need to go through pre-approvals and numbers, I'm right there with you, hand in hand. So that separates me from a lot of other people. And Guild Mortgage is just absolutely phenomenal because we're, nationwide, and then we service our own loans. So we don't sell them. Most companies sell their loans as soon as they close. So if you ever need anything, you just call, email, or text me, and I get it done for you.
Mm-hmm. And like with everything you're doing, you seem extremely busy. So how are you able to stay on top of managing, working out, running a gym, running a business, and so on and so forth?
Man, just goal setting. I wish I could show you, like I have vision boards like everywhere. Vision board stuff. Whenever I'm doing anything, I look at my vision board every single day. I think there's only 2 things that I set for the whole year that I haven't done, and I'll finish that by next month. But I throw exactly what I'm going to do at the beginning of the year. I put it all on the board, and I obsess about it until I finish them. So that's been big for me.
And what got you into doing that in the first place?
Just always been goal oriented because of sports. So I always found that, like, if I want to do something, and anybody will tell you this in my circle, if I want to do something, it's going to get done. But for me, I obsess about it until it gets done. And that could be, anything from like giving myself an end date too. Like if I say I'm going to do something, I'm not just going to be like, I'll get to it, I get to it. I'm going to obsess about it until I finish it, but I'm going to give myself a date. Like, you have until X date to get this done, right?
So maintaining the goal, being goal oriented, does that make you or help you stay on task daily?
It does, man. I do get knocked off of my calendar. I try and stay tight with my calendar just because I have so much going on. But sometimes you got to audible, man. Sometimes you got to pick.
Yeah. For sure. And I just want to say something for the listeners, like, who don't see you on social media. Like, you start your day, your post is like your schedule. You know what I'm saying? And it's like very on top of things, by the minute, by the hour, so it's like, do you have days where you feel like you can't fit all that in? And if you do, how are you able to manage that or adjust?
Delegation has been the biggest thing for me, because I used to think to myself, I'm going to put everything on my shoulders myself. Do it myself. That's how you burn out, right? That's how you crash and burn. So, just trusting people around me, like, hey, listen, I need this done. Can you help me with this, this, and this? And I'm going to attack this. I think in our business, we always talk about income generating activities when I talk to team, because like for me, like if I'm the head of the organization and I shouldn't be running up to staple a couple things, right? I need to be creating more relationships to come in, and that's going to equal out more business, right? So just whatever you're doing, you need to understand the priority of them. Like, is this an A priority or a D priority? Right? And then you try to.
Yeah. So with your family also, so how are you able to manage work life and home life balance?
It's been hard. It's been really hard. My wife will tell you that. But at the same time, we just crack out time, like, whether it's family dinner or, I set out to make sure that I take my daughter to school in the morning. That's our personal time, date nights. And then, my son, he's in pilot school right now. So, anytime I can fly down and fly with him or hang out with him, that's kind of cool too.
That's dope. And I actually want to transition to that. A pilot, man, that's huge. So what made you want to do that, get into that, and get into flying in the sky?
Yeah, I think I've always wanted to be a pilot, but I thought you had to go to school for 4 years and then or go to the military. And during COVID, I was like, man, I wonder if I could do military part-time and get my pilot's license. But then I started Googling it. It was like, oh, you just come down and take lessons. So I ran down there, started taking lessons, and took off with it, literally. It's life-changing.
And how long have you been doing that for?
Since, so it's been 3 years.
Wow. That's crazy. And you're flying a lot, too.
Flying a lot. We have our own plane. I flew across the country a couple of weeks ago and just living the life in the air. It's life-changing.
Wow. Have you had any moments of fear during that time?
Yeah, I mean, there's been some times, but I think a lot of the training that you do is to prevent something bad from happening, or when you get into a bad situation, how to get out of it. So, I've been 9,500 feet in the sky, and all my power went out. Right? It's went through my training, figured out what I needed to do, landed at the nearest airport. So, a lot of training for that.
That's dope. So, in the past, like we talked about earlier, your motivation, early on. So what keeps you motivated today? With everything you've done, you've seen a lot of success. So what keeps you motivated and wanting to strive for more, or keep new goals, or have new goals?
I honestly, those goals, like right now, the one thing I think about a lot is aviation. In my business right now, I have it set up to where we have a strong process to where I can manage my business, help more clients, and it's a process. But aviation's on my mind. Like when I'm not doing this, I love to fly. Like I want to reach new goals, reach new limits with flying. Eventually I want to fly with my son, doing something with us side by side. I think would be awesome. So I don't know, like setting more goals, traveling more, helping other people. I think lifting as we climb is like one of those things that I think about a lot. So if I can reach back and help another person out, I've probably met 4 or 5 black pilots my whole life. I've never don't know any more than that. So like to being able to maybe add my name to that, list or my son, or inspire another, young black kid would be cool too.
And that's actually what I wanted to bring up too, is that all the work you do, whether it be in sports and lifting or your current job, you're really focused and honed in on helping others. What makes you that way, and why is it?
Probably my oldest sister. My oldest sister has autism. So, I've done Special Olympics ever since I was younger. I coach and, be around so many special needs kids. And I think to see that purity and how, they can make any situation right, I think just really had a strong effect on me. So that, and coming from a family of 8 kids and just my mom, seeing that struggle. So if there's any way that I can help somebody, like so many people help me because it takes a village, just kind of paying it forward.
That's dope, man. That's really good to hear, man. And I see you do it all the time, so I commend you on that. Real quick, I'm going to eat up all your time. Advice. Any type of advice you'd give to any go-getters, any people who feel like they can attack the world and get a lot in, or feel like they have a lot of goals or vision boards, but feel like it might be too much. What kind of advice would you give to somebody like that?
Yeah, grind now, play later was the biggest thing I ever heard. Can't cheat the hustle. You absolutely cannot cheat it. So hard work and determination just beats everything. So I always talk to my team about activities, right? how does a shark stay alive? It's always moving, right? So it's like me, if I'm in here, I know I got to make 50 phone calls a day to be successful. If I don't make those calls, somebody else is calling those people. I'm not doing this right. Or, I cannot complain about not having something if I didn't work for it. So the biggest, I guess, piece of advice I would say right now is hustle and grind, and then grind some more.
That's dope. So people who aren't familiar with you, again, where can they find you? What social media outlets can they reach out to you if they need to?
Yeah, Mkristo.Bruce. I think I'm on IG the most. Mkristo.Bruce. I think that one. And then, call me. I'll put my number in the chat.
That's what's up, man. Well, I appreciate you taking out the time to do this, man. I know you're a busy guy, and sitting down and giving some advice and telling your story, man. I think it's huge, and super proud of what you're doing, man. I've known you obviously for a long time, and just seeing all that you're doing, dude, you're never stopping, and you motivate me. So it's really cool to see all the stuff you're doing. And
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Seriously though, man, it's dope to see all your success and just grind it, man. When you see somebody do something well, a lot of people are content, but to see you just keep striving for more, it's dope to see, and seeing you reach where you want to go is dope. So I'm looking forward to what you're going to do in the future, man.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you again for being on the Hustlers Handbook podcast. Anything else you would like to add?
Oh, man, go Cougs.
Go Cougs, as always. Well, thank you again, Mkristo, for being on the Hustlers Handbook podcast, and best of luck to you in all your endeavors, brother.
Appreciate you, brother.
Thanks for tuning in to the Hustlers Handbook podcast. I hope you found today's episode as inspiring and insightful as I did. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your fellow hustlers. Keep pushing, keep striving, and remember, the hustle never stops. See you next time.